Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of The Wrap Up. I'm your host Nick Buckler. With me as always, Dan Myers. Dan, we have a lot of unfortunate news to just continue to cover about these Detroit Tigers. And they had a homestand this past week. The Royals came to town, followed by the Boston Red Sox, and they go 3-3 on the road trip, or on the homestand rather, and that's good for them, I guess you can say, lately. They've really been just inconsistent, and it's been a struggle.
Yeah, to think back at the beginning of the season, this is where we'd be in August is just unfortunate. Just so much turmoil in and outside of the clubhouse. So it's it's sad to say 3-3 series is good. I mean, compared to what we've been used to dealing with, this is horrible. So it's really upsetting.
And big news that came out this past week: the firing of the general manager, CEO, vice president, executive, actually the president, the head honcho, Dave Dombrowski is fired by Mike Ilitch, and they promote Al Avila, the father of catcher Alex Avila, and the pronunciation game is different even though they're from the same person. Who cares about all that? Let's just cut to the chase. The American League titles, the 4 division championships, the rebuilding of this team from what it was in the late 90s to early 2000s was not enough for Mike Ilitch. He wants that World Series before his days on earth are gone, and he felt Dombrowski was not the guy that's going to get it to him. And he was almost happy with where they were. And you can't have someone leading your team who accepts mediocrity. And Dave Dombrowski was that guy. Although, of course, he's disappointed about the season that they've been having this year. The moves weren't made. And the move was actually made right after the trade deadline. The trade deadline was last Friday. They sell Price, they sell Cespedes, they sell Soria. And then on Saturday, he tells Al Avila he's going to get the job. He offers him the job. And then they don't fire Dombrowski until Wednesday. So obviously, Ilitch knew right away when they became sellers, all right, this is not the guy I want. He's throwing in the towel. Sure, was he looking out for the future? Maybe. Ilitch is not a future guy. He's I need to win, and I need to win now. And Dombrowski was not the guy that was willing to do that.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. To me, I thought maybe it was a little sign of disrespect towards Dave Dombrowski and all he's brought to the organization. Unfortunately, it's not enough for Mr. I. And seeing how Ilitch has worked before, how he's made it clear that he wants a championship now. Dombrowski maybe should have known that, but I still feel that Dombrowski has some mileage on him, and with the hiring of Al Avila, I'm not happy about it. And it's not all Dombrowski's fault. We have some extremely great talent. We have a strong core in this organization, and it's the players not showing up. And I think it's a lack of leadership, not so much on Dombrowski's part, but obviously, it's easy to say, yeah, it's blame it on the skipper, but I feel it really is. I think we should have made a coaching change before we got rid of Dombrowski. I think that was a golden goose that we might have let get away. It's easy to say that he wasn't really taking it not seriously, but he was sort of phoning it in the rest of his contract. So we'll see. I personally am not too happy about it, especially with Al Avila coming in. It's not really, Al Avila for Dave Dombrowski, I don't know. Yes, it was his right-hand man for a while, but I still think there's a lot of learning that should have been done before they got rid of Dombrowski.
I'm going to disagree with you on this. I think it was a great move by Mike Ilitch. Now, do I think Al Avila is the right guy? No. But do I think over time it will get better? Absolutely. Avila said when his press conference the day he was promoted or hired, whatever you were going to call that they're going to win this year. And Dombrowski was a guy saying, we're going to reboot. This team's done for the year. We're going to see what next year, 2016, 2017, has in the cards for the Detroit Tigers. And Avila says, no, not so fast, my good man. We are going to do this, and we're going to do it now. Cabrera's only about a week out. You still have core. Kinsler's been just hitting the cowhide off the ball. Iglesias, although we're going to get to him in a minute, he's still hitting. Victor Martinez has shown power. J.D. Martinez is J.D. Martinez. He's got 29 home runs. Like, come on. You still have Rajay, he can steal a bag. Ghost, who can steal a bag. These guys that are getting, James McCann's been a bright spot. The pitching, though, they need help there. The bullpen is just brutal. I do think Rondon has been a bright spot in recent weeks. His ERA is 0 over the last 3 weeks. He's striking guys out. And you still have Alex Wilson, Now, Blaine Hardy's been up and down. Al Albuquerque's been up and down. Guys like Ian Kroll, terrible. It's just they're too inconsistent. And I think if they're going to win this year, which they need to go on a streak, which they haven't been able to do. They've been .500 baseballs since the injury to Miguel Cabrera, and that's not good enough. They're only 4.5 games out of the wild card. They're still in striking distance. There's a lot of baseball left as well. They have over 45 to 50 games left in the season, and they're only 4.5 games out of a playoff spot, and they're phoning it in, rebooting. See ya, Dombrowski. Let's get someone in there who wants to win for Mike Ilitch. Mike Ilitch is the best owner in all of sports. He's passionate. He wants to win. He's not all about making money. He's already got the riches, the wealth. He is a fan, and he wants to win, and he's going to do whatever it takes to win. Yeah. I like the move.
Yeah, and he appreciates the game. You don't see too much of that where there's actual one-on-one interaction with the players, maybe the fans, but he is legitimate. He legitimately cares about the game itself, and that's great to see. But going back to Avila's comments, what else was he going to say? I mean, he's not going to side with Dave Dombrowski after his mentor, I guess you could say, just lost his job. I mean, he's got to go in the other direction. But then again, maybe it's good to have positive outlook. Maybe he's sincere about it. But I just don't buy it right away. We'll see. But change had to be made, and I really don't think it's done yet. There's one thing that I'm worried about that you brought up is the catching, obviously, the bullpen. That's been just a problem for us. Well, not even this year, but the past 5 years, it's never been consistent. And I think that we really need to maybe clean house with that, with what we can get. I mean, I know it's very slim pickings right now as far as what we can get for a closer, but something's definitely got to change. Maybe the pitching coaches or whatnot. So we'll see how that goes. But that's the real worry about me. That worries me right now is the bullpen. It's always been a thorn in our side. Like you said, we have a core group of players, but when it comes down to it, they can only do so much. We need those closers to do their job title, and close, and it's not happening. So, I'm not going to feel confident until we actually start seeing some legitimate changes in that bullpen.
Let's talk future a little bit on this team. There's talks. JD Martinez is going to be a free agent after the end of next season. Now, it's just been brought up over the last couple days. Do you give him an extension now so that way you don't have to overpay for him? If you wait until after next year, he's going to test the market and he's going to get some big bucks. And that's really what they don't need. They don't need these guys to keep going elsewhere, getting big dollars and leaving. JD's part of this core. He's a guy that can hit you 40 to 50 home runs a year. He's above average fielder. He's got a great arm. He's a guy that the Tigers need to lock up for a long-term deal, and I don't think this will be a Verlander-type contract. I really think he's a guy that can produce for an extended period of time, and they need to lock him up when they still can. And I think he's a guy who wants to be here because the Tigers gave him a chance when no one else did.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a different situation. Verlander's contract obviously was an albatross for the organization, but I feel, we're not hyped up. We're not in the juice, drinking the Kool-Aid like we were when Verlander was just being lights out. So, I think it's smart. We do have a problem with, overpaying some players, and it's not even just the Tigers, but just Detroit in general has a problem with overpaying players. But, yeah, definitely I think it'd be great for an extension. Maybe not dig us too deep into a hole as far as monetary-wise. So we'll see. I think you're absolutely right, though.
Let's take a hop, skip, and a jump to Friday night. Tigers are losing 7-2 to the Boston Red Sox. We're in the 6th inning. We're going to go into a play in the half inning prior to the altercation. Ball is hit towards Jose Iglesias. I almost called him Julio. Might as well be at this point. And he just doesn't even really go for it. And it's frustrating. Yes, you're on a team that's losing. You're not used to that. But don't be a prima donna. So the captain of the team, which naturally is your catcher, James McCann, confronts him in the dugout. He says, I'm not sure exactly what was said, but it was something along the lines of you got to be, busting it for the ball. I mean, the game's not over. The season's not over. We're not out of this. Iglesias didn't take nicely to that. He gives McCann quite a shove, and the tempers flared. Castellanos got involved. Anthony Goes got involved. Players were shoving, holding guys back, and Iglesias was asked the next day what he thought about it, and he said, I don't tell people how to play their position. So, in my opinion, Iglesias is being a child about this whole situation and not being a team player. He's pouting because the Tigers are not good right now. And he needs to understand, you're still getting paid millions of dollars. You need to be worthy of that millions of dollars. Play for the fans, play for your teammates, play for your ownership, the guy who's paying you. And it's not fair to the city of Detroit. McCann did the right thing. He came at him calmly, and David Price released a tweet the very next day and said, James McCann will have a C on his chest, as Jason Varitek did in Boston, one of the few guys that actually wears the C for captain, before his career is done. I guarantee it. He does what has to be done. David Price, now with the Toronto Blue Jays, saw the altercation and pretty much sacked up and said, hey, I'm taking McCann's side, the team's taking McCann's side, and that's good to see that the team's kind of rallying around and, you know, almost fighting for justice, if you will, but it's somewhat different. And Iglesias, to me, if Ausmus was a manager, which he's not, he's an ex-player that's put in charge of a team. I'm not going to call him the M word, the manager, because he's not. He's horrible. If he was a true manager, like a guy like Jim Leyland or Joe Torre or Ron Gardenhire, Tony La Russa, etc., he would have benched Iglesias. He would have pulled him that minute. He would have not played for the next couple days. Thought about what you done. Listen, this is a team, and you're not being a team player. And he would have done something about it. And he didn't, and he has lost control of the team.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you said, up until the description you're just giving, it wasn't up until like the last couple statements that you brought in the coach's, the manager's name, Brad Ausmus. You mentioned Ghost. You mentioned who was the other guy? Castellanos.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, pulling him back. You didn't mention Brad Ausmus
Because
he wasn't there.
He hid under a shell.
You get
You're
paid.
the manager.
You get paid to manage your team on and off the field. He was not doing that. He has not been doing that. It's easy to go and blame him, but I really feel that was the issue. Is he's not taking control of his team, and these guys they're catchers taking it into his own hands. What else was he supposed to do? That was ridiculous. It goes to show the sense of leadership in the dugout, or lack thereof.
There's none.
And there is none. And it finally came to a boil Friday night in that dugout. And yeah, like you said, if that was any other manager, I mean, look, we were talking off camera about this. Is if that was Jim Leyland, look at how hard he used to get on the guys just for not even running out a hit to first. And to let that happen in your dugout, he would have never have had that, not whatsoever. Even just the play that led to that argument. So it's unfortunate. You know, I do like Brad Ausmus, but not coaching, not managing my team. I liked him as a player, but he's just not the position. Maybe they could find another position for him, but that's definitely not his position in this organization. And it definitely came to a boil last Friday night.
But how do you like him? If you like him, but you bash him.
Right.
What, do you like him like, hey, let's go out to the bar, Brad?
Yeah.
Not, he would run a fantasy baseball team into the ground. Let's be honest. It's a train wreck in Detroit. It's time to panic as long as you have Brad Ausmus as your manager.
Yeah.
And the fact that Al Avila said, Ausmus is our guy for the rest of the year. We'll reevaluate him at the end of the season.
Yeah.
No. And no.
Yeah.
He is absolutely, by far, the worst manager in Major League Baseball. Yeah. Is that bold to say? Absolutely not. Because the facts are there. You look at even the Phillies. They're the worst team in baseball by far. They've only won 30-some-odd games this year. But their manager has that team in line. They hustle. They run out ground balls that they're not beating out. They hustle. They leave it all on the field every day. The Tigers don't.
Oh.
It's a bunch of prima donnas that come over here, and they should be happy with every player down in Cuba or the Dominican Republic. Their dream to come to America and play Major League Baseball. And now they're here, and they're just prima donnas now. The money's there. They don't care.
Yep.
That's a rhyme to live by if you're a Tiger fan.
And they're professional athletes, act that way. I mean, like you said, it's every kid's dream to be running out into that field or, digging your feet into that batter's box, waiting for that home run or just a great hit. And they're not acting like it. And it's easy to say, they once you're up there, you lose that dream, you forget what it's like. But if you have the right leadership, you don't forget about that. And you fear the repercussions of not performing to your standards. You're an athlete. Act like it on and off the field, and clearly that's not happening right now. And I think that's a lack of leadership, which I don't understand. Al Avila saying, "Yeah, we're still alive. going into the season. We still have a chance, yet you're going to keep this, for lack of a better word, cancer in the clubhouse. It just, I feel like they're two conflicting arguments, and you can't have one without the other.
That's exactly it. He's just, it's like a black hole. And as long as Brad Ausmus is there, there's no control. The players aren't left accountable for their actions, and the team will not be successful. We're going to shift gears to a team that hasn't been successful for a very long time, and that's the football team in town, the Detroit Lions. Their first preseason game's coming up Thursday. They're playing the New York Football Jets, the now Rex Ryan-less Jets. When you thought the Jets couldn't get any worse, Rex Ryan leaves, and they are probably going to. They have no quarterback, but we're going to talk about the Lions. There's still high hopes on this team. The offense is there. The defense is there. Yeah. They just can't put it all together in a season. They beat the teams they shouldn't and lose to the teams they should be blowing out. Yeah. First preseason game Thursday. What are you going to look for?
I'm looking for the replacements to step up.
Like the movie? The kicker smoking a cigarette, kicking field goals, the replacements?
Yeah, that's not where I was going. But yeah, Amir Abdullah filling in for Joik while he's injured.
I like that a lot. I would like to see Amir Abdullah take the job from Joik in the injury. You hate to see a guy lose his job to injury, but I think Abdullah's a guy that can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric Ebron, he's been following Calvin, pretty much shadowing him from insiders off of forums or sports beat writers. And when you're shadowing Calvin Johnson, what do you have to lose? He's one of the greats, and I'll go down as that. Calvin Johnson, I mean, he's leaving critics, I guess, pretty speechless at these practices. I mean, he doesn't. It's not the same Calvin Johnson that we're used to, but he's still got a lot to perform. He's still got a lot to show. And Darius Slay, look at him last season, embarrassing Des Bryant. That was great. So, he's got all the right tools to become a Pro Bowler. And I think there's a lot of high hopes for this football team this year.
Let's talk about Darius Slay for a minute. He was a draft pick who a lot of people question the pick. Is he going to be the right guy? His rookie season was not good. He was just getting burned left and right. And last year, he took a huge step forward for this Lions team. And he's a guy who I think is going to be a great cornerback within the next 2 to 5 years. I think he's really going to emerge as one of the greats in the NFC and obviously on the Detroit Lions. But he comes out with a nickname this week. And he wants to be called The Earth. And his reasoning? Because he can cover anyone on the planet.
Whatever helps, if it's going to help you on
football is just, these guys are prima donnas here as well. It's just, what do you expect anything less? I mean, look at Richard Sherman and all these guys just, I don't even know what to say.
When you're driving head first into a guy's shoulder pads, anything, helmet to helmet, you're not going to get the most.
So you're saying there's some brain damage behind this?
I'm not saying anything. These guys would, they're you got to be a little different to be running as fast as you can into someone or running away from someone as they're trying to pretty much maim you. So you're not going to get the stereotypical quotes that you get for a baseball player, who's a little humble, a little more quiet. Football players, you need something different going on up here, and
kind of like a goalie.
Exactly.
Football players, 11 goalies running around on the field. They're just kind of out there, but I really think he's going to make a big step this year. Let's talk about Matthew Stafford, the quarterback. He's come to camp. Now he's married. Maybe things are more stable at home. He's shaved down some pounds, and they said he looks like a quarterback who's ready to take a big step in becoming one of the elite quarterbacks of the NFL. Mm-hmm. Yep. He has to. The weapons are there. He has one of the best receivers, although he's getting up there in age, Calvin Johnson. You have Golden Tate in the slot, who was, I think, the best receiver for the Lions last year. You have Ebron, who they say is going to be good. You still have Pettigrew, although his hands are made of stone. He's still a big target in the red zone. You have Joe Fourier, who's also a big target in the red zone. The weapons are there, and if he doesn't have a big year this year, you might have to start looking for a new quarterback. But I really am confident in Matthew Stafford this year, and that's a lot because I am not at all a Matthew Stafford supporter, but I think this is a year he's really going to take a step.
Absolutely, yeah. He's a lot of good going on during the offseason, off the field. He does, like you said, he does have the weapons. I feel that You know, this is a make or break year. Last year, a lot of people were saying that, you know, this is going to be either the end all be all for Matthew Stafford. I really feel this year will be a real eye opener, and I think, you know, he definitely has the heart. You know, his head's there. He's definitely got the heart for the position, but whether or not he can come through with the talent we'll find out. I'm not going to get too excited regardless of how these preseasons go, because we know how that turns out. But I think this is going to be a huge year for him. I mean, it's important for his career. He's got to perform, and there's a lot of expectations this year with that QB, especially considering what happened last year and how far we went, which it's been a while since we've actually been that excited. So, yeah, like you said, it's a very important year for him. And, you know, the critics and even the national sports writers are saying he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, he might not be a top 3 quarterback, but he's getting looked at by ESPN, SI, a lot of national writers. So they see something. Obviously, you know, the organization sees something. We've seen the heart on the field, you know, with his injuries and still coming back. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and another thing, they compared him to Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Eli Manning in their first 6 seasons in the NFL. Tony Romo was in that conversation as well. He has won or the same number of Super Bowls that those guys had in their first 6 seasons in the league. He won less, rather, or the same number in their first 6 seasons. He's right there. He's more yardage, more touchdowns, less interceptions. He's not putting up bad numbers. Or maybe those guys got to slow career starts, I'm not sure. But it's a mix of both. He's just entering his prime right now. And I think it's going to be big things to come for him. Do you think Calvin Johnson has passed his prime?
I don't want to say yes, because I feel like there's still so much talent there, and we might have been able to trade him a couple years ago. So I don't want to say, let's just say he's at the top of the hill. After the season, we'll see whether or not he's going to stay there or he's going to go down. I feel, yeah, I don't want to comment too much on that. I don't want to jinx it, but I don't blame you if you say he is. Let's just say that.
It's a toss-up. I think there's a chance he could be, but a lot of it is Matthew Stafford to blame. If you look, he's been throwing behind him. He's leading him too much, setting him up to just get crushed. And he's been banged up the last couple years with injuries because he's taken a lot of hits. And I still think he's a great receiver. His speed's definitely down, but he's still got the ups, he's still got the hands, and he's got the size.
Absolutely.
I think he's still going to be a top 10 receiver in the NFL, but I think he's definitely on the downward of his career starting this year. Yeah. I'm not going to say he's washed up, but starting this year, he's hitting the end of it.
By Calvin Johnson standards, yes. Yeah, he could be going down. But as far as the league is concerned, I feel he's still got a lot to offer. Even on and off the field, I feel he's a great role model for these up-and-coming guys. So when his time does come, he's going to have some great guys to follow him behind him. So, yeah, hopefully he can start acknowledging that. And I think he's going to be with the organization even after his time's done here playing on the field. He's a great role model if you just paying attention to anything that he's done off the field. Great role model, great tutor, and just a great person overall for the organization.
Sorrell Austin says, Amir Abdullah, tackling him is like gasping for air. They say this kid is one of the best running backs they've seen come through since Barry Sanders. And that's just an incredible compliment, if you will, coming from the defensive coordinator. The guys who have to tackle him, they can't bring him down. His legs are like tree trunks, and he's always driving forward. And I think he's going to be the starting running back for the Lions team this whole year and take the job from Joik. I don't think Joik really has done anything crazy to deserve the starting job. He really didn't have that good of a year last year. He was only averaging about 2.8 yards per carry. And Abdullah at Nebraska, he would run all over the Big Ten. We've seen it watching Michigan and Michigan State. Amir Abdullah is one of the best college running backs. And I think the Lions have a great running back in him.
Yep, absolutely. And it's never a bad thing when you have two talented running backs, two talented players in any position battling for a job. It's just who wants it more. And we'll see how it goes. I'd love to see Amir, take the job from Joik, but I want him to earn it too. So we'll see how that goes.
And we're going to switch one last gear over to the NHL. We all know the Jack Adams Award is the award for the best coach, and named after the great Jack Adams. And now people have said they want Scotty Bowman to get that name. And that's a great honor for Scotty Bowman. That's a great honor for the Red Wings organization, Pittsburgh, Montreal, all the teams he's coached. And if this does happen, I think it would be great for the game of hockey.
Absolutely, yeah. Not too many people know who Jack Adams is. I mean, if you get your Fairweather fans, they don't know who Jack Adams is, but you do. If you know anything about hockey or sports, or if you just follow the Wings periodically, you know who Scotty Bowman is. If you're a Chicago fan, you know who Scotty Bowman is. So, yeah, I think that would be a terrific honor for Scotty, and I think it would be very respectful for the league to take care of that.
Be a great modernization overall.
Yes.
And we'll update you on that in the coming shows. For Dan Myers, I'm Nick Buckler. Thanks for watching another episode of The Wrap Up.